Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our April 5th meeting, Rotary E-Club, US, Southeast USA and Caribbean. Our speaker really actually needs very little introduction. She is a fellow E-Club member, and she is the executive director of Rotary's Camp Florida. And I, for one, have definitely been interested and curious, even though I do follow Rotary Camp Florida on Facebook. Been very interested in knowing firsthand what is really going on with the camp, how they've done with COVID, the quarantine, how they're making strides to keep going. And I can't say enough about Liz. I've met her personally. She's a great person. And Liz, I'm just going to have you go ahead and take it away.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And I hope that I won't bore too many of you too much, but let me start this little baby from here. Okay, so thank you again for inviting me. I know I'm very bad at joining our E-Club meetings, but as you know, I'm always here, there, and everywhere doing a lot of presentations. So I'm really glad that I can actually be with you guys tonight. So I do read a lot of what happens and a lot of the nonprofits that are presenting to you guys. So I think there's a lot of deserving organizations out there. But I really wanted to kind of give you guys a real insight and update to the camp, what we've been doing, what we have been doing, and how things have affected us, and then how we've kind of changed a few things for the future. So if you'll indulge me, I will go through a lot of things. As you say, people haven't been to the camp, so people haven't seen what the facility's like. So I'm hoping that this presentation will kind of give them a little bit of insight. So our mission is, what's going on here? We can click on. So our mission has always been to provide barrier-free camping programs and facilities for special needs user groups. We are a little different than a lot of other camps, and I kind of will go into that. We do that with this 22-acre ADA compliant facility. We are providing services for people that need supportive accommodation. We have kind of changed that a little bit because we feel that there's a lot of other groups that could be included in our service area that are not always people with disabilities, but people with different accommodations. So that includes like foster kids, adoptive kids, kids that have lost their parents to diseases. So we've kind of expanded our mission a little bit so that we can include some of those as well. So it all began in 1991. Somebody like me came to talk to the Rotary Club of Brandon. They were with the Rock Cancer Center. They had been using the Lions Camp in Lake Wales. It was getting ready to close down. So these guys knew that this United Methodist Church camp in Brandon was for sale. They purchased it for $448,000. 28 original Rotarians put up their own personal guarantee. And the then 17 Hillsborough Clubs members each gave $100 for the first year to cover the operating costs. And I tell people the great thing about Rotary working together is you can see here in 10 short years, that whole loan was actually paid off. That's a phenomenal thing in nonprofits. And we still only have a debt of $50,000, which is actually on the property that we own as the office. So still being wonderful stewards of the money that we've been given from day one. And last year we did celebrate 29 years. This year is our 30th year. We are still very much a secret within Rotary. So that's one of the things that I had been working on, going out and talking to all these clubs. And now it's kind of come to talking to people on Zoom a lot more, but still trying to get the word out there, get people involved, get people to know what it's all about. So one of the questions I get asked is who owns the camp? Well, it is not owned by any one club or any one district. It is actually owned by the 501c3 nonprofit. We are supported by various organizations, individuals, user groups. We are so far only supported by 51 of the 400 clubs in the state of Florida. So if every club, you can see there, our annual budget is between 270 and 300,000. If every club in Florida would budget $1,000 for the camp, that would be our annual budget coverage. But that's not the way it goes. That would be a perfect world. And then this is something that people need to know, because when you give to nonprofits, you really want to know where your money's going. And the national average of money going back into nonprofits is 55 cents on the dollar, and we're giving over 88 cents back. So still being wonderful stewards of every penny that we've been given. And we do work on a membership and governance model. So we do have a board of directors. Every year the board turns over. We turn over 6 positions every year. All the clubs and individuals that give over $1,000 have a voting right on who those incoming board members will be. And we do have seats on the board for all of the 8 districts to select their representative. This year, it's actually been all of the DGNs, and we've had the whole class of this year that's actually participated. So it's the first time I think we've had a full roster of all the districts. So really, we think moving forward that we might actually change that position to be somebody that is within the district that is not so busy on a fast track up to district governors, so that they can spend maybe a couple of years with us. So that's something we're looking at in the future as well. We've tried to increase Rotary participation. You know, of course, before COVID, we were inviting clubs to come to camp, host fundraisers. We've done some RLI, we've done some youth service days. We haven't diversified the board, so we do have members as far away from Key West, some from District 6960, quite a few from 50, and quite a few from 6890. So, but we have been trying to diversify that, and having Zoom did allow us to do that, because we can just start our meetings and have everybody joining us. So, and then of course I was attending PETs and conferences and anything that I could to get the word out. So we are located in Brandon, which is just east of Tampa. We do have this wonderful property that's nestled between these 2 lakes. One thing I've done in the last couple of years is I've added some land use restriction agreements. We've been contacted several times by developers for this property, and we really want to protect it to make sure that it will constantly be a camp until the time that we should ever decide that would change. But these land use restriction agreements make it that for the next 22 years it is protected. So it was a simple document that we filed with the county. It means that the bond has to be paid off by anybody that wants to develop it. So it's made it absolutely worthless to developers, but made it much better for us to feel safe and comfortable that the camp will always be a camp. So why are we different? Why are we unique? Why is this camp something special? Well, I'm sure you all know there's a lot of other camps throughout the state of Florida. They are mainly large groups. They want 300 to 400 kids. They specify diseases, they specify ages, specify the number of times that the kids can actually attend the camp. So we fit a niche in this market that we can only hold 129 maximum. And that includes with all their counselors, their doctors, nurses, lifeguards, their cooks, everybody. So we fill this niche for these kids that have rogue diseases, small groups of people that have diseases. There's one group that comes, there's only 10 kids in the whole of the state of Florida that have that disease. So they would not be able to go somewhere else to camp, but we can offer that opportunity to them. So we're very happy that we can fill that niche, give all these kids the opportunity to experience what camp is like. But we have been closed since last year. We had our last camp on March 15th. You can see here some of the ones that have canceled. Faces of Courage are adult and children with cancer. The Florida children with diabetes, they've canceled their camps. They've all kind of rescheduled, and we keep pushing them all back. So I'm sure that at the end of 2021 and 2022, we're going to be inundated with camps, which I will be more than grateful for. And a lot of them have changed their formats to being online, which is fine for the kids, but it doesn't give them that interaction personally with their peers. And then a lot of them changed to a drive-through. So we did some of the Christmas camps as a drive-through. We had Santa here and gave the kids all the presents and gifts we would normally give them, but they never got out of their car. So it's kind of real different for them, but something we had to do, obviously. And you can see here, we were onto a good track. We had served in 2017, almost 6,000 campers. Dropped off a little bit in 2019. That was mainly because of some funding for each of the groups. And then of course, last year we only did 725. So, you know, it's a real big hit for us. And always remember that these kids never are charged anything to come to camp. We do charge the user group $25 per person per night. And the rest of the money up to the cost per night, which is actually $56, is sponsored by the Rotary fund that we have, so the scholarship fund. So without these kids coming to camp, obviously we've lost quite a bit of income. But we are home to many returning camps. We do have Shriners, we have Tourette's, we have the Florida camp for kids with diabetes. We found out we're probably going to lose muscular dystrophy because they have not had their funding renewed. So that's going to be an issue that's been happening with a lot of the camps. And then we are always priding ourselves on making sure that the camp is barrier free. That's one of the things we do want to ensure, that any child with any disability can attend the camp and have fun. So we're always looking at that to make those changes. And we did add some new groups right before the pandemic. We actually added our baby friends, which is the kids with Down syndrome. And we do have the opportunity for moms that are pregnant that know they're going to have a child with Down syndrome to actually come and attend, because we've shared resources with them. You know, it's difficult enough when you have your first child, but when you know that there's going to be some issues, then it's really helpful for the parents to get together and you know, tell them, navigate that road so they won't have that issue when the baby's born. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have this young man down here, Jesse. He's almost 22, so he's getting ready to age out of the school system. So we are working on some programs to help Jesse through his transition into his adulthood as well. And we have several of our facilities. This is another thing that we do, you know, trying to make sure that everybody is included. With the pool, we do have a wheelchair lift, so that means the kids can actually access the pool. We have added these Mr. systems, which is a simple addition, but it means that children in wheelchairs now can actually participate with their friends. They can't necessarily go into the pool, but they can keep cool while they're there and can actually be included with their group instead of being excluded as before. And we have a lot of other organizations that come here, a lot of therapy animals. The dog on the top left is actually an amputee dog. He has a prosthetic leg. The dog, this big white dog, is a seizure detection dog. So he will alert us and her and anybody around her if she's going to have a seizure. And then of course we have horses. Horses are great therapy for kids. I kind of upset a kid the last time we were in, because we talked about hippotherapy, which is what horse therapy is called. And he really thought he was going to see a hippopotamus at camp. So he's a little bit upset with me. And a wonderful, beautiful Rotary fire pit. Everybody loves the fire pit. Kids don't care. They just want to know where the marshmallows are. So, but wasted on them, but really something that we as Rotarians appreciate. We do have climate controlled cabins. Of course, all these kids are not able to be primitive campers. So we do have air and heat in each of them. We remove some of the hospital beds if we have to accommodate, or bunk beds to accommodate hospital beds. And the one thing when I started here, everything was yellow and blue, our beautiful Rotary colors, but unfortunately yellow is the worst color for children with autism. So it incites fear, anxiety, mood disorders, and even eating disorders. So we sent the project out to every district, every club, and we've had a lot of sponsorship. So we've started to change all the colors, moving towards more of the light colors. The kids actually pick the colors themselves, which I'm surprised that they picked that bright orange, but I guess the answer is it's on the red spectrum and not yellow spectrum. So it's a good color for them. And we have started to retheme the inside of the cabins as well, because that's really creating a nice space for them, and a really nurturing environment for them. We do have a full kitchen dining hall. We have an outside patio with you can see each of these tables actually have a gap, so that if you are in a wheelchair, you can just roll up and participate with your friends. And we do enjoy the lakes. We have fishing programs here all the time. I know there's a lot of groups that Rotary Fellowship actually has a group that is interested in fishing. So that's something we wouldn't mind talking to that group about, is coming to camp and seeing if they can help out with some of the programs for the kids. We would love to do a fishing tournament. So that's also something that we've been looking at for the future. And then canoeing, kayaking, paddle boats, you know, for some of these kids, it's the first time they've actually felt freedom. So that's kind of something as well to offer them. Leonard Hall is one of our big rooms that actually has a stage, audio visual. Kids do skits, they do graduations, you know, they do programs for their parents. It's, you know, one of the places that they really, I think they end up here. I think they start there and end up there. It seems to be the place where everybody starts and finishes their camp. And then this is one of the most important parts of camp, which is the infirmary. And this infirmary really allows the kids to come to us that are actively in treatment. So we do have kids with cancer that are coming here and having their chemo while they're actually in camp. We can land a helicopter there as well to take them to the hospital, which is about 5 minutes away by helicopter. But we tried to make it look less like a hospital setting by adding some murals to it as well. And then you guys were very generous to give us the funding for the generator, which has allowed us now to make sure that they're safe and continue using their equipment, even if we have a glitch. And funnily enough, we have a lot of glitches out here with the power, so it's really come in handy the last couple of years. We have a gazebo, a lot of quiet areas and play areas, a butterfly garden, something that, you know, that we can use to calm the kids down sometimes because they do get overexcited and overstimulated. And then the public's pavilion, that's one of the last ones that we have to paint. We actually have that big, beautiful barbecue grill. That is actually, this building has actually become the kids' movie theater. So when I can't find them all, they're usually in there laying on blankets, watching movies with popcorn. And then all the bathrooms we changed to be totally zero access. And if you can see here, when I first started, there were 5-inch lips. So there's no way anybody could independently bathe themselves. So we've made everything zero access. So now a lot of independence, a lot more independence for people that come to camp. And then we did redo the playground a couple of years ago. That was with Kaboom and MetLife. MetLife actually provided the funding, and we went through the Kaboom, which was from Washington, D.C. The kids designed the playground themselves. And I should have gotten a hint about the yellows when I didn't see any of those yellow colors in the playground design. And then there was a very generous donor that was with us that day who gave us the next funding for the totally accessible playground. So you can see here the kids can actually stay in their wheelchairs and access the whole playground. And this young man, Connor, he comes to us from Shriners. He's actually 10 years old. And Connor has had already 13 surgeries on his leg. And he has to make decisions at one point whether he was going to come to camp, go to therapy, or go to therapy and miss camp. So fortunately, the Rotary Club of Palm Harbor got together and purchased this adaptive bike for us. They're not cheap. They're $2,200 a bike. But that allows him to have his therapy now while he's at camp. And it also has a guided, I don't know if you can see, but there's a handle on the back. So if you have a visual impairment, they can still guide the bike. So a lot of kids that are coming in that are visually impaired are able to ride a bicycle for the first time in their life. So that's kind of neat. And then we were looking for some transportation around this 22 acres. And thankfully, the Rotary Club of Englewood came up with a golf cart, and so did the Rotary Club of Boca Raton. So that's been a nice addition for us as well. And also the Rotary Clubs in District 6970 actually purchased its UTV for our, excuse me, for our maintenance team. I don't know where that frog came from, sorry. I've had both shots, so it's not COVID. And then we were doing a lot of the jobs contracted out. So now we have a tractor and a trailer. So now we're able to do a lot of that stuff ourselves. So again, Rotary Club's really supportive and sponsoring some things there for us. And then this one was built by the Rotary Club of St. Petersburg. It is a human foosball. It's a lot of fun, but it can be very dangerous. So if anybody does invite you to play, ever wear a helmet. And then this is the property that we have the only lien on, which is the 50,000. And this is the 1935 Camp Florida Road, which is next door. We are using this as the office because we can use it and without disrupting the camp. So that's really helped us out over the past couple of years with that as well. And then we were dropping people off in the summer in a muddy, grassy parking lot. So now we had that done in the last couple of years as well. So the parking lot was improved. And this was done by one of the gentlemen that has autism. He did the one on the right first, and then he did the one on the left. And because he liked the one on the left better, he wanted to go back and do the one on the right again. So we had to actually lock the door to stop him because he would have kept going. Believe me, he has obsessive compulsive disorder. So everything for him has to be perfect. But I think this is a fantastic job. I would have thrown all these tiles away, and there's no way they would have looked like that if I had even attempted to do something. So it just goes to show that some of these kids, although they're socially inept and they're really unable to socialize and talk to people, that they are very, very, very clever. So that's something I'm really proud of them doing. And we are still working on the environmental center. We do have an anonymous donor who's given us a $50,000 match with some new gifts. So we're almost at the price that we need to complete this project. We are not going to work with the treehouse guys because they've upped the price since they came out to us. And the biggest expense with this is actually the ramp that we have to build, because to get these kids 60 inches off the ground, we have to have 185 feet of ramp. So that's the largest cost that's going to do that project. So we're actually probably going to put that out to some clubs for some work days. So we'll kind of let everybody know when that's going to happen. And we do now have an Enchanted Forest and Nature Trail. This was adopted by one of the leadership classes in 2018, and they didn't finish it until late 2019. So we've cleared out a lot of the south part of the camp, which was all trees. And they now have this wonderful trail that is sight guided, so they can access it even if they're visually impaired. It has a rope all the way out and all the way back, so they can enjoy it as well. And then the Rotary Club of Ybor City gave us some money to finish the dock. So we've had this floating dock, I think, for years. So we finally moved the floating dock to the end of this dock. And then the gentleman from the Rotary Club of St. Augustine actually gave us the boat lift. So now we can raise and lower the kids into the lake much easier without having to manhandle them. They can actually ride their wheelchairs all the way out, and then it's much easier to transfer them into the boats and the kayaks. And then the Rotary Club built us a volleyball court, sand volleyball, or as my personal beach, as I like to call it. So that was something else. And they actually did raise the money for the volleyball court by actually having volleyball games. So it's kind of worked out well for that one. And then what we've been working on during the past 12 months, there were some projects that really needed to be done. So we worked on the pool deck. We really vamped that up, made it look much better and safer. And we are working on the front sign. I think you'll see there, it says Camp Florida, not Rotary's Camp Florida. And the reason behind that is we have been asked by Rotary not to use their logo within our logo, because we are not a Rotary International approved project, and it is not our logo to use. So we are doing everything that we possibly can to maintain good relationships with Rotary International. I'm not happy about it, but it is something that we've been asked to do, and we will do it to keep our 501c3. We are still Rotary's Camp Florida, but you won't see the Rotary in the logo. So just so you know for future. Oops, went the wrong way. And then we did work on the library because we did find mold, unfortunately. So we've done that in the last 12 months as well. Pool showers. It's hard enough to get kids to go to shower when they're at camp, but this has really given them some incentive. It's kind of cute for them to do now. So they're kind of arguing about who's going to use the shower now. So I guess that's a good thing. And then this young man actually did do his Eagle Scout project during the quarantine, and he was very good at adapting. I mean, I was very impressed with the way he adapted his project. It is actually a Gaga pit, which is it started in Israel. It's a form of dodgeball, and they play it within this corral. But what really impressed me was how his ability to adapt and think really outside the box. So I'm very, very proud of Nicholas and what he did there for us. Oops, I keep pressing this thing the wrong way, don't I? And then one of the things we did differently last year or the year before was we actually started to pair up clubs with groups. So we had an opportunity to run an autism camp. It was actually the first one that we ran ourselves as a camp. We had somebody that was going to do it, and they backed out. So we knew we couldn't let these kids down. So we partnered with the Rotary Club of Pinellas Park in the District 6950, and we actually sponsored this camp. We have another sponsor for one for 2020, which obviously we had to cancel. We've moved that now to 2021. But we really had a good time. I think the group really realized how their money really made an impact on kids for a change. So I think it was a good way to do that. And that's something that we're kind of moving forward with and saying, let's partner, each of the clubs that want to give money, let's put them together and let's put them with a group so they can actually see who they're benefiting. So we have 29 kids that we actually changed their lives for a weekend. These kids had never been away from home before. And it was really, the problem was more with the parents letting them go and letting them stay than it was with the kids wanting to stay. So by the end of the weekend, we realized that we kind of created some monsters here, because every week now they text me, when is camp going to be? So I've got 29 kids that have texted me for the whole of quarantine, but we will get there. I promise them. So we will get there for sure. But how has COVID affected the camp? Well, it's done a lot of damage to the camp with in many ways. So we have lost, right now, we've probably lost about 20 camps since I've even did this presentation. So our income loss is over $90,000 because we haven't been getting the money from the camps. Fortunately, we did have a contingency fund, and we agreed as a board that that money was for a rainy day, and it started pouring last year. So we decided that we would do the right thing and we would not jeopardize any of the kids' future. We said that we would continue to work here and do what we had to do for the projects that needed to be done. But I know that people are wanting to get back, but I know that they're very nervous about it as well. And I think that until everybody's vaccinated, I don't think we're going to see the camps back in. We've had some that have said they were coming in at the end of April, but they've even pushed it back to October, November. But it really has impacted us a lot and really impacted the kids more than we realized, because, you know, these kids look forward to this. They look forward to seeing their friends every year. So it's really been hard on them and hard on the parents, because the parents are having to put up with them the whole time. So now you can see there that, you know, when I say that funding has been impacted, you can see it here visually. That's how much money we get from the user groups, and that's really how much we've lost over the past 12 months. So I'm sure we'll make it up. I'm sure something will happen to help us, and I'm glad that we actually have been able to continue through. I think a couple of years ago that wouldn't have happened, but thankfully we had a contingency fund, and we still have quite a bit of contingency left that is in stocks that we really don't want to get, you know, we don't want to cash them in yet. We want to really keep them in case something like this happens again, or we get another year like this. Because the camp really is special for these kids, and it really does make a huge difference to them. And I don't think people really realize the difference that a week can make, or a weekend can make with these kids. You know, it's a place where they feel comfortable, they can feel themselves, they can be themselves. They forget their illness, they forget what's happening with their life. They really just have fun and enjoy themselves. And here you can see some of them, their smiling faces. So we know that we're making a difference. But one thing we've thought about the last 12 months is how, if this happens or it continues to happen, how can we continue as a camp? One of the things we've kind of talked about is we definitely want to continue as a camp, even if it looks like that it might just be summer camps. We still want to continue with that. We think we can still do a lot of weekend camps, but we have thought a little bit outside the box and tried to mold our model a little bit, because our original mission was for programs and facilities for special needs user groups. We've always provided the facilities and we've never provided the programs. So that's one of the things we started to look at and said, well, we would not be stepping too far out of our mission if we did some of this. So we have partnered with several people here. One of the great partnerships we have started is with One Voice Foundation. You'll see some of the pictures on the Facebook a lot each week, but One Voice Foundation probably has about 29 programs that serve children and adults and siblings with cancer. So Marianne is a wonderful person with a wonderful vision, and she wanted to start this One Voice Academy, which is actually the first of its kind in the world. They're currently renting Leonard Hall, and they are providing an alternative learning site for students that have cancer. And kids, as soon as they're diagnosed with cancer, they are duly diagnosed in their school that they currently go to, but they also get enrolled in the homebound teacher program. So the homebound program, how it works is that this one teacher gets about 15 to 20 kids on her caseload and has to go all throughout Hillsborough County to visit these kids. So you can imagine right now they're getting about 20 minutes of schooling. So we've met with Hillsborough County. They really like the program. They're really on board with it. And they want to bring the homebound teachers actually here to the camp. So they will bring the kids to camp, because these kids are having to go for treatment. They're coming from chemo. They're going for radiation. You know, they sit in a traditional classroom, and sometimes, you know, kids with bone cancer, their bones are hurting. They can't sit in traditional chairs. Their set times for their schooling is not the same as it would be in a regular school. So it's really a school that will help them continue with their learning, because a lot of them are really having a hard time with that and losing out on a lot of their learning. So this is something we've started, and it's something we've been working with the TOPS, which is the toddlers, and it's been working for them. So we really see that it'll work for the older kids as well. So this will be a pre-K through 12 program We're not registering the camp as a school itself because that starts a whole bunch of issues. We are just registering her program as an alternative program. And then we've always worked with Faces of Courage, which actually they deal with children and adults with cancer. And we've been for the last 12 months, we've been doing some research with USF, and a lot of people that have gone through cancer actually have a hard time returning to their original careers. Some of them get chemo fog. Some of them, because of the nature of their cancer, have not been able to return. So we are working on some of their specific needs, and we're going to incorporate that into a new program, which we're going to offer. And this is kind of all culminated in this through the pandemic and through everything else that's happened. And we are starting a new program that will be called Next Steps. So this is a skills training employment program, and it will be basically whatever the next step is in that person's life. So it could be that it is just a simple matter of how to get up in the morning, how to go to work, how to appropriately use your phone at work. And for employers, it would be how to understand that kids sometimes will use their phones as means of communication. And then furthermore, going into the employment part of it, we will probably offer several job opportunities that we have here at camp, because right now we pay for a cleaning company. We actually have landscaping we can do. There's a lot of opportunities here at the camp, pool maintenance, a lot of things that we could train them in and then move them into a job in the workforce, or maybe even employ them in a program that we're thinking of starting ourselves as well. So that's something I think is exciting. We've put out some grant applications for that. The most exciting part of it is I think it'll put us in a better position to apply for a lot of Rotary funding, because now we're fitting into that educational literacy component. So I think it's really exciting. I think it will open up the camp for a lot for the future. So that's something we've been working on for a little while, but we really think we owe it to ourselves and to the community to do that. And then, of course, this is something exciting you'll see. We now have a Rotary tag. We've been working on that for the last 6 years. We finally got it approved through the legislature last year. It is available. You can get it on floridarotarytag.com. And 10% of this Rotary tag comes to the camp, and the 10% goes for administration, and the other 80% is divided in between the whole the 8 districts for youth service programs. So it's a good opportunity. It's finally come to, it took a lot of long work, but I think we finally got there. So you'll see that from your district leadership. You'll see it in your newsletters. You'll see, you can go to Florida Rotary Tag. If the tag should not get to production, your money that you pay for the voucher can still be applied to your regular tax. So you're not going to lose anything. But I think this is a beautiful design. It's been approved by Rotary International, and I can't wait to see it driving on all the cars throughout the state of Florida. And as I said before, funding is becoming an issue for a lot of these groups. And I think it's really important to point out that, $500 sends 4 kids to camp for a week. I mean, there's not much you can buy for $500 these days. And, that's a small sum to spend to send these kids and to change their lives. So I'm really grateful for you guys for allowing me to give you a little bit of update again about the camp. I really think it's important for us to start to partner with the clubs to put them together with some of these kids for some opportunities for seeing really how the camp does change lives and opens opportunities. So thank you very much for allowing me to give you some of my time, and obviously to share with you what I love to do. Thank you very much.
Wow, Liz, thank you. That was amazing. I knew some of the stuff that you were doing, and I thought I knew more, but what you have accomplished is incredible. I'm going to open the floor to questions.
Liz, go ahead, Will.
No, Liz, I was just going to say that there have been an awful lot of changes, positive changes at the camp since I was on the board out there. And I was a little surprised. Did you say, I think out of 400 Rotary clubs in Florida, there are only 51 that actually support the camp? Is that the case?
That is correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's a major information and education challenge.
Mm-hmm. we had hoped that by having all 8 districts on the board, that would kind of increase that. I mean, you know, every community has deserving nonprofits, but
Yes.
this is a Rotary project according, you know, that's how it was started. So I would have expected a little more participation, but I'm pushing it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we need to continue to get our district governors on board. Just for information, has our current district or district governors elect nominees been out to the camp?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
I just wanted to say that I agree with what Will said, and I know every year it's talked about with the governors at pets and so forth, but I think the pressure needs to be kept on. I remember when I was governor in 9/10, the way it usually happened, I assume from some classes before me and after me, the three, I was governor when I was down at club in 6960, and it was our district 5060 and 890 that talked it up. You know, the three that were right in the mix, if you will, and we got some support, but some of the governors didn't want to. But I think education has to be the key. So having said that, I have a question and then a follow-up question about the license plate. Um, I mean, I know a lot can change based on what we hear every day in the news and from our medical experts and so forth. But are you comfortable that at some point, maybe in mid 21 or late 21, you might be able to open up camps even at a limited basis where you don't take maybe as large groups like you have in the
Yeah,
past?
we have actually offered that now because we're always in contact with the CDC, with the local communities, and the Hillsborough County have said that we can run the camp at a 50% capacity. It's just the camps are uncomfortable coming in because a lot of the camps are children. So until they get inoculated or vaccinated or whatever you want to call it, then they're not going to be comfortable coming in. And a lot of them are immunosuppressed. So we haven't wanted to put them in with other people. I mean, we are having groups now that, you know, Marianne with the school, I mean, she's having the talk. She has about 20 people every Tuesday. So, you know, we're wearing masks. We're doing everything we can to social distancing. We have, you know, plexiglass in between each of the tables for the kids. So we've been doing some things to make it safe, but it's still until those kids get their vaccinations, I think then we'll start to see it open up.
Okay. And I'm very pleased about the license plate. Tell me, how did RI agree to that, knowing that or maybe they weren't involved? I made an assumption. Tell me
But
if
they
my
were.
assumption is correct. Knowing that the money is going to go to the camp, and earlier in your presentation, you talked about the logo issue, which we went through with RLI. They told us we couldn't use it anymore. We had to change the RLI logo.
Well, the way that this all started was we were going to actually do it as a Rotary Camp Florida logo in the tag in the beginning, and then
Right.
we decided that it would be better if we sent it to all the districts as well. So the only common denominator was Rotary. So I actually visited Rotary International way back in 2017 and told them what our intent was. Had a conversation with them and their attorneys, and told them quite honestly that if we were going to do this, the money could not leave the state of Florida because it's illegal and the state
Right.
has to stay here. So they understood that that's how it was going to be. They did ask that the individual districts would move some of their money towards their foundation rather than towards some of these youth projects. Well, I mean, that's probably not going to happen, but it was something that was kind of, you know, they were unhappy about it, but they couldn't really stop it. I mean, it wasn't going to be good press for them if they stopped Florida from doing a Rotary tag. So
Okay.
thankfully, the meeting I had with them, I documented well, so that did come up in conversation with the guys that took it on. And because I had kept notes and minutes from the meeting, they couldn't go back on what they'd said. So we got it through.
Good.
Aisha, Liz, very impressive presentation. You know, thank you very much. I'm new to the area and not that familiar with the camp, so you'll excuse if the question is a little basic, but I was very impressed when you talked about raising money for the different things that you had going on, and you have different organizations in addition to Rotary that you're raising money from. How is that coordinated? Are you doing all of that? I know you have a board. I mean, I was just very impressed by how that was handled. So I'm interested in how you're handling it internally.
It's just me. It's me, and I have two maintenance people. So I basically do everything. I mean, I've worked for large nonprofits before. I've worked for Habitat for Humanity and Feeding America. So this is a much smaller nonprofit for me, but something that I think it's much easier to sell to people. I mean, when people actually see the products that, I mean, it is a product. We're selling a service, and
Sure.
when you see the kids that we actually change their lives, it's not hard to sell that to people. People really have good hearts and want to give money. I mean, I have a huge resource of people that I know to contact. Fortunately, we're able to get through TechSoup, we can get a membership to Grant Station, which normally costs thousands of dollars, but we get it for $99 a year. So it allows me to look at what we can do for that. A lot of the money from the projects has actually come from Rotary clubs. A lot of Rotary clubs would rather give money for things than they would for scholarships for the kids to come to camp. So when I first started here, Will will tell you, there was a lot of money sitting in the restricted account that nobody knew how they were going to finish the project. So I actually went out and got that money to finish them. So we're getting to the point now where we're actually probably more or less tapped out in projects, because the problem is now that the county want us to actually go on public utilities if we build any more buildings on the property. And that's a huge, huge cost. So we kind of are at a point where we have to decide that this is it and we're not going to get much bigger. So.
Well, when you are in contact with the clubs, do you do that through the district governors? How do you do that exactly?
I actually send out emails to every club and ask them if I can do a presentation. I do it through the district governors as well. And then obviously with the district governor nominees on the board, I kind of try and ask that. It's difficult to get the board, because the board is all Rotarians. So their problem is there is automatically a conflict of interest to start with, really, because their priority is with
Right.
their clubs.
Right.
We've never really done fundraisers. What we've done is said to the club, well, you need fundraisers for your presidential citation. So go do a fundraiser and give the money to the camp. That's the easiest way to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Dick Schultz, you've got something here.
Yeah, I'm curious, what is your operating cost shortfall for the month of April?
For the month of April, actually, we did a good month this year. We didn't have a loss. We got $7,000 profit.
Okay, all right. Well, how about May?
Well, we're not at Maine right now, so our year loss, we've lost $77,000.
Okay, we'll work on that.
Thank you.
Liz, how many in normal times, how many weeks out of the year does the camp operate?
52.
All 52.
Yep, we only take the week off for Christmas, and then we have camps.
And are all of the activities run through the user groups?
Yes.
And do the user groups overlap? In other words, do the user groups book a particular week or a particular portion of the camp?
No, they have the whole camp to themselves.
Okay, so
we would never commingle, because there's a whole bunch of rules there with commingling and the kind of kids and the kind of groups that we're bringing in. But
right.
we can have a camp Monday through Friday and then have a different camp Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
So we had one the year before last. We had 72 camps and in 52 weeks, because we had several that came in during the week and then several that were weekends as well.
And I think you've covered this, but is each user group responsible for their own staff, such as nurses and other staff?
Yeah, because that, again, it's hard to make a one size fits all when you're dealing with so many different disciplines.
Right. And that's very labor intensive. I'm familiar. I've worked with camps in New York, and that's been one of the huge expenses, providing medical and nursing staff and other specialized staff.
These guys that come in, most of them, they have their doctors and nurses are volunteers. So
Yeah.
they, like the kids cancer group, their oncologist that
Yeah.
comes in is already dealing with these kids. So it's amazing the number of people that volunteer their time for it.
Liz, this question is really for you and Vince. I know we've had RLI at the camp before, and I've known people who have just been so impressed. They're loving RLI, but they're so impressed with the camp and seeing it. Is there any thought of having RLI at the camp again?
Well, I certainly don't want to speak for Liz, but she was on my list of people to call pretty soon. Liz, I'm going to be the chair of the RLI Sunshine Division starting July 1, when the new Rotary year starts. And one of my goals is, in my 2-year term, is to have at least one full Saturday of events there. So I can't speak for you and what's going to happen there and your team, but I was going to approach you and talk with my board about it, and I think they'd be all in to do it there. So instead of us hosting one at the community college we usually go to, or we throw an extra one in, which is St. Pete College up on Drew Avenue in Clearwater, we could move it to the camp. And it actually, of course, it physically would be in a different district, so it really wouldn't matter about Pinellas County. So what I said really is moot. And getting an RLI in that district is going to be really important. So we'd like maybe the branding clubs to help us with the promotion and all that. So thank you, Will, for bringing that up.
Email me.
Okay, I'll email you. And
We'd love to host it.
yeah, we want to do that again. And so.
Great.
Any other questions, comments? That was good.
I've been here 7 years this week, and it's been the best 7 years of my life, let me tell you. Thank you.
That's
Thank you,
awesome.
Bill, because Will was on that original, he was one of the original people that interviewed me, so thank you.
I would comment that was a very good presentation with lots of great photographs of how great this has come since the Methodist Church sold you that land.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job, Liz. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And the only question I have is, have you gotten my mail yet? I sent you mail.
You did?
Yep.
No.
Not yet? Okay. You should see it soon.
Okay.
Robin, did you have a comment? You're just clapping. All right. Great. Very,
Oh,
very
good.
cool.
Good job, Liz. Great to see the progress down there.
Thank you.
We did have one of our few annual physical meetings there at Camp Florida. It was quite an event, and it's probably something that could be teed up again.
Oh,
Yeah.
you mean a e-club meeting, Robin?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'd like to see that. That'd be great.
Cool.
I think you were there, Ed, or were you? You were at one in Tampa. We had one in Tampa, and then we had one at the camp. But they were.
I don't know where I am most of the time, Robin.
Okay.
We had Russ Miller there. Russ Miller came in to speak to us.
Yeah, that was Robin. That was our club. We met there, and then the year after we met in Tampa.
Yeah, I think it was our 10th. Was it our 10th anniversary that we met at the
one of those.
Camp Florida? Yeah, yeah. Good.
Good. All right. Very cool. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you again, Liz. I actually can't say thank you enough. That was an awesome presentation. We are going to follow this shortly with our BOD meeting. Anybody who'd like to stay on board and participate is welcome. I'm going to give everybody about a 2-minute break. I'm going to continue recording because I learned my lesson very well the last time I stopped recording and started it up again. So we will reconvene in 2 minutes. Again, thank you,
Okay,
Liz.
I'm gonna sign off.
Yeah.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Good to meet with several of you that I haven't met with before. And
Yeah, and Andy, we've got some talking to do. So
okay,
Good,
yeah,
good. Good to
It's all
see you,
good.
Andy. Take care.
yeah,
All right.
thanks.
We'll
Okay.
see every
See
the
everybody
rest of the
back in
board back in a
2.
minute.
Bye.
So how you doing, Birdie? You unmute yourself.
I said I finally got on. It was like 20 minutes of me trying to figure out how to get on Zoom, and then I found it. So I'm
You
sorry I
did
came
it.
in late, but it was well worth it. It was a wonderful presentation.
Yeah, Liz is a great person.
I was going to ask, but I can email her. You know, being a nurse, but I'm not a pediatric or a cancer nurse, so I don't know if they could use my services. But I have lots of free time to do that kind of volunteer work. But I just don't know whether, because I don't have that experience.
I'll make sure that you get her email, her
Yeah,
contact
I wrote it
information.
down. I wrote her.
Okay,
email down,
great.
So I can
Yeah.
contact her.
Go ahead and contact her because she
Yeah. They said
probably would appreciate it.
I mean, even if I swept floors, you know, it was really a wonderful program.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
I don't know what this next segment is about, a BOD.
Okay, the next segment we're going it's our board of directors meeting. You're welcome to stay on and listen, or
I think I'll just pass on that for now so I don't get too overly confused. Thank you, and I'll be in touch again and look forward to the next meeting.
oh, okay, yeah. The whole thing, Bertie, has been recorded, so anything that you might have missed will be on there.
Okay, I will. Thank you so much. I
You're
appreciate it.
welcome. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, we'll wait just one more minute for ready to join us, and we'll get started with the BOD meeting. I apologize for the short notice, everyone. I thought life would go on as normal, and then I got my COVID shot on Friday and hit the wall on Saturday. So
Is that your first or second, Alicia?
it's just my first.
Okay.
So I'm hoping the second one won't be as bad. Like I said, I'm going to have my, my Invisalign taken care of the day after. So anyway,
I
okay.
had my second one on Saturday, so we'll see how it goes.
You can let us know, or you can sleep.
That's right. If you don't hear from me, then I'm probably sleeping.
We'll know. All right. So we're going to go ahead, since we are still recording, we're going to go ahead and open the BOD meeting real quick. Did everybody get a copy of the agenda?
Mhm.
No. Okay. All right. Any secretary's reports from Robin or Brad?
Yeah, on the secretarial side, attendance is in progress. Would you like to add something to that, Brad? Because Brad is doing the heavy lifting. I'm fading into the background.
No, not much. I mean, obviously, it's time to fill out the attendance report, so we sent the email out for that, and hopefully we get a good response.
Okay.
Yep.
I noticed, I was looking back just kind of historically through the district attendance, and we are still way above the district, and as far as reporting, and the district average is about 50%. So I like to see better. We'll continue hopefully on that trend on being above. So thanks, guys.
Mhm.
Okay. Treasurer's report. Ray, anything?
And the foundation,
Well, yeah, that's coming up.
okay.
I'm going to tag you for treasurer because right now you'll be treasurer next year, and Linda is not doing Zoom right now. So
I think the arrangement was I'll be a temporary treasurer.
yeah,
Yes.
I'm working on it,
Okay.
but I got you for now.
Yeah,
Hey,
no,
Ray, you know what, Ray, that sounds a lot like my
Well,
arrangement,
she's
right?
very prompt about putting the report online, so I have nothing to add to that.
Okay. It's just to fill everybody in, and we probably need to add Brad and Vince as far as being able to see the information on the DAC. I have actually been working on the DAC DB as far as putting in my budget. This is for budget for next year. I will go ahead and touch back on that a little bit later down.
Yeah.
So then
Budget,
Ray,
Alicia, we need to see a copy of the budget.
yeah, that's
And all,
for,
and all the members before you put it into DACB. It's got to be approved.
well, the DAC DB that I'm doing right now is a working budget, so it is not set in stone.
Okay.
It's actually kind of cool because I can do it month to month, and I can reconfigure as to member numbers, when the money's going out, approximately what month. So it's actually a working budget. It's not okay, here it is and vote. So I'm hoping to have that budget ready for approval by next weekend.
So Alicia, one thing you probably remember from our discussions about it, and with some recent discussions with Ray too, when we just looked at it, it looked like the revenue was lower than what was projected for the budget for this year. Being a newbie on the block here, there may be some things going on in this last quarter that I'm not aware of, but unless they are, we may be short of what was projected for this year. So, to pay attention to that, of course.
Yeah, and I've noticed you've seen a shortfall. Ray, do you have any clarification on that? Because I can't find it.
You can't find what?
the shortfall that Brad is possibly seeing on the budget.
Yeah, because Ray, one thing I was able to go in and do is take a look at the quarterly payments that are coming up
Right.
this next quarter, just to make sure we covered that. But, and that's,
Yeah.
I think that's probably around $1,000 all together.
Yeah,
So it's,
I'm not sure this answers the question, Alicia, but one of the questions Brad had was in regard to the income.
Mhm.
And I pointed out that actually the income, the dues payments for the new fiscal year, for the first quarter of the new fiscal year, most of that will come in the last quarter. So we will not have should not have a shortfall.
Okay.
well, if that's the case, Ray, I think, I think what needs to be laid out then is what has been paid and what we are expecting. I think that's what we don't know. What are we expecting in this fourth quarter, and from whom are we expecting it from?
Yeah,
Because
basically,
Excuse,
you multiply the number of members by 100. Except, as I pointed out, there are probably at least 2, maybe 3 or 4 members who will pay their annual dues in the fourth quarter. They're not obligated to do so, but frequently, sometimes they do. Some people will pay. For example, I pay semi-annual dues, so I'll pay it in the fourth quarter. So there'll be some variance, but basically every member who remains a member is going to be paying $100, and most of that will come in before July 1st.
well, my recommendation on it, Lisa, when you're putting this together, let's just, I mean, that the way that Ray just explained it is obviously a good way to look at it, and let's just make sure that we haven't overstated the revenue based on what he just said.
Yeah.
Because as of right now, we're, as we all know, in terms of looking at where we are right now, we're short, but there may be some explanations like Ray has, that fills that in. But I just think we need to be really careful about approaching this because we do have a shortage right now.
I think that the working budget that Alicia has put together, as best I can determine, the amount for the income is really based upon 30 members. We had 29 members as of July 1st of last year. Right now, we have 34 members.
Mhm.
So at the rate of, if we have 34 members, the income
Right.
should be larger.
Right, understand.
yeah, yeah.
Go ahead,
One thing, in the past, we have always budgeted for a couple less members than we show on the books, because people die, people move, and we may not got new members. We're fortunate this year.
Yeah.
And secondly, it is a budget. It's not cast in stone anywhere.
Right.
And we don't need to make it more complicated than it needs to be for our working it.
Right.
And the other comment I have is that I noticed in Liz's presentation that the contribution to maintain our voting membership at Camp Florida is now $1,000
Yeah.
instead of $600 or $700. So we have to adjust
Yeah.
that one up.
Robin, I did catch that.
Yep.
And I had after talking to you this past week, I had communicated with Alicia and said we need at least $700 to be a voting member. It now appears we need $1,000, which shouldn't be a problem. But
Yeah, no.
Alicia, we need 1,000, not 700.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it. I got
Well,
it.
where this revenue is really important, kind of where we, at least where I got into it, is we were taking a look at the projects that we wanted to contribute to and how much we
Yeah.
had to contribute.
Okay.
And that's where this revenue becomes really critical, is
Okay.
there.
And Brad, I can actually, if you want to take some time, we can set up some time. I can actually do a Zoom meeting and a share screen and show you where the money is coming from and go month to month, because this Stack to Be worksheet sort of thing is been very, very useful. So we can go over that.
That'd be fine. And also to be honest, I mean, I'm not sure that I need to know necessarily month to month. I mean, just annually, just to know where it's all coming from.
Okay.
I mean, that can be a simple document.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah.
budget.
When it comes in, I'm not really all that concerned about necessarily, except for the fact that it might, have some kind of influence on when we can fund, money for projects that we want to fund. So the timing has, reflects that, of course. But except for that, it's annually that I'm concerned about, making
Yeah.
sure that what we
What-
project annually is what we're going to get.
Yeah, one other observation. We have sufficient in the bank at all times to cover a year's expenses, a year's operating expenses. So that in practice, we're never out of money. We can meet it, even though some of the funds may be a bit late in coming in, some of the dues may be a bit late, but we can meet whatever commitment we make. And that has been the practice to maintain a year's operating expenses going forward.
Yeah, my recollection is, and I'd have to take a look at the reports, but the past few years, we've been pretty close to the budget.
Yep.
Our expenses have been fairly close to the income. And as Robin points out, the budget is really just a guide. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Plus, we just got one new member in Andy Hammond, Dr. Andy Hammond, and he paid the entire 400 upfront.
Yeah, and we have some members, Will, who will do that at various times of the year.
Yeah.
All right. It is a work in progress, and like I said, I will have a preliminary budget hopefully to the BOD by next weekend. I'm not under the covers with the COVID. Ray, can we continue on with the foundation?
Yeah, I about 2 hours ago, I sent everyone a report by email
Right.
in response to your email, Alicia.
Mhm.
And I don't know if everybody's received it or been able to read it, but it's pretty straightforward. We have the RI has a strange way of reporting statistics. They report, for example, that we have 10 members who have contributed to the foundation, and that adds up to 34%. But that's based upon 29 members. They consider active Rotarians to be those Rotarians who were members as of July 1st. But as we know, we add members throughout the year. So this year there was 29 back in July. We had 34. So actually, it hasn't been 10, but we have 12 members who've given to the foundation, not 10. But that's not how RI computes it.
Okay.
And I might add that we have 6 members who are Paul Harris Society members.
6?
6.
Wow. I thought we only had 2 or 3.
Well, again, yeah, well, the RI statistics report 2, but if you go through the list, there are 6 members. 2 of them are the new members, so RI doesn't count them.
Until July.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
All right.
Huh.
Well, there you go.
Well,
Why is that, Ray? Why?
Vince, I have no idea. I don't know why it's computed like that. And this might be easier for RI to, start at the beginning of the fiscal year and determine the number of members and base the percentage on the contributions from those members.
Do they catch up at some point though? Is it recalibrated every July 1?
Yes and no. I mean, it is not recalibrated. It'll start over in July.
Right.
well, maybe they look at things as those members that we have had for a full running 12 months
Yeah.
who
that's
could
how
have
they look at it.
contributed to Paul Harris Society level
Okay.
over a 12-month period.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
Okay.
But looking at the numbers, looking at the members who contributed, the people who have contributed to the Paul Harris level have all occurred since July 1st of last year.
Huh. That's
Uh,
strange.
Yeah, one member contributed July 2nd, so it counts. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, higher authority. All right, thank you, Ray. Will, you're up.
Oh, membership?
Mr. Membership.
Mr. Membership. No. I've just been fortunate to help guide and steer that particular portion of the ship. But one thing, just following up on what Ray said, I would really like to see us, by whatever means, to get our contribution level to the foundation up in terms of percentage, not necessarily total dollars, but the percentage of members who are actually supporting that important part of Rotary. And I don't know what we have to do to make that happen, but I think that's important. Anyway, on to membership. I have been very happy to work with Alicia and shepherd in Bertie Dan, who you see has been on almost every meeting. And I wish we had more of our members
Birdies.
who were as active as she and involved in questioning as she. She really wants to know everything about this organization. And I don't know everything about this organization, so that's great. We were very happy to have Dr. Andy Hammond, former president of Sugar Mill Woods, Citrus County, decide to join us. Andy had been looking at our club and talking to Alicia over the last year, and finally decided to make that decision. Of course, we worked with him over time. And just so that you know, every prospective member is fully vetted before they come into the club. I talk to them to make sure that their aspirations are the same as both the club and Rotary, and inform them of what we expect, both in terms of participation and financial support and obligations. And then we talk about training and the training resources that are available to them. So I think we're getting a stronger and stronger base of people. And I think that's a very good thing. And I think by virtue of the fact that our club continues to show strength and involvement in the full scope of Rotary programs and services, is serving us very well to speak to the world out there that this is a happening place and a good club to be associated with, particularly in terms of our support of international programs. So that has been very attractive to a number of folks. Speaking of international members, maybe we need to have a little sidebar about some of our international members that have not been present, both in Europe and Africa and India. So we've been kind of missing some of those folks. I'm working with our two newest folks, Senthil and
Alphonse.
Alphonse in Cameroon, Africa. Senthil in India and Alphonse in Cameroon. Because Cameroon has probably some of the worst internet on the planet, but we're working on that. So we're continuing to show a presence internationally and within our own district and beyond. And I fully expect that our membership during the next fiscal year will continue to grow. But that being said, and in spite of the membership challenge at the district level of who can bring in the most people, I would be happy if we didn't bring in one new member as long as we had existing strong members. Because we need to bring in the right people, not just numbers. And there's handwriting on the wall if you start playing a numbers game, district level or otherwise.
Yeah, and you've kind of been there before. You've seen the outcome of numbers.
I was with in our district. We played a numbers game one year, and one high-level individual brought in 10 members, and at the end of the year, those 10 members were all gone.
Yeah.
So there you are.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm really pleased with the members that we've brought in, and internationally, yeah, it does pose some challenges. We're working to address those challenges. One is as simple as time change. So.
Yeah, I think I mentioned to you that the reason that Bertie Dan is in our club now, she was one of my cardiac nurses, and I always wore my Rotary pin, and she said, "What is that?" And that started the conversation.
And my response to Will was that's a hard way to get a member.
Look, I'll go above and beyond, Ray. I'll go above and beyond.
Yeah.
I'm hardcore.
That was a stressful candidate, but it was cool when she decided to come on board, because she's got a passion that is unbelievable and is definitely welcome in the club.
Yeah, and she's already done a lot of community service, not just in the medical field, but in preserving environmental lands and other things.
And I hope you're seeing that, Brad, when she puts in hours. We kind of walked her through how to put in her service every month.
Yeah, I don't recall any problems last month. I'll pay attention.
No, I don't think you'll see any problems. I think she's probably more wants to put everything out there, but she just didn't know how to at first. So you might get inundated. Who knows?
Okay.
She also plays the banjo.
That should count for something right there.
Yeah, I love the banjo.
Oh my.
Regarding contributions, I know, what some clubs have done is that they set up part of the funds that they collect, from dues or whatever, to assist usually new members with contributions, by making matching contributions. In other words, if a member will put in 150, then out of a fund that we or a club might set up, we put in 150. It's a way sometimes to get members that might not contribute otherwise to contribute if they know that their funds are going to be matched. So I've seen clubs do that, and that may be a way to increase our participation if we wanted to look at something.
Yes, and we have enough, I think, Ray, if we have 6 Paul Harris Society members, we've got enough matching points out there to really, somebody wants to go to the Paul Harris level, put up $500 over the year, I'll put up 500 points.
I was just going to say I'll do whatever we have to do. I'm one of those 6, and
yeah.
Well, we need to do it. I mean, first things first. I mean, E-Ray, right? I mean, I don't know if that's been the club's and the foundation committee's goal or an objective or a target or whatever over the past several years, but maybe we shouldn't worry about the low numbers on E-Ray and say, hey, we want everybody to give at least $5 in their country's denomination or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Maybe we should go big
No,
and
yes.
say, we got points, we'll give you 500, 700 points or whatever if you put in this much money, and become a Paul Harris Fellow.
Yep.
And then
Yeah.
they'll feel it. Then they'll have ownership in it.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll meet you halfway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think putting together some kind of incentive for people like that
Yes.
is a way to get those numbers up, and a lot of clubs do that. So,
One of the interesting things, if you look at the reports, is that the same people, whether they're Paul Harris members or just generally give to the foundation, they're the same people year after year.
Yeah.
The 10 people I mentioned out of the 29 are also E-Ray members. We give every year. They're sustaining members.
Mhm.
The percentage is the same. It's 10 members, 34%.
Mhm.
It's the same people.
No, I expected you to say that, but what, and I think my thinking has been backwards all these years. It's like give something so you're E-Ray. We have an opportunity with a small group. We're not dealing with a large number of people here, really. 10 of the 29, you're talking about 20 people, give or
20
take,
people.
a new member here and there. Make a pitch to those people individually and say, we've got points to give you, and here's how it works. Anybody that can master that points thing and understand it is, should get a Nobel Peace Prize or something, because it's the most confusing thing in the world.
If
But
I can look into my crystal ball,
yeah,
which I keep, hidden. Will hit it on the head. I think that we have, through his efforts, we have had good people recently admitted to the club. My guess is that those people will be more generous in contributing to the foundation.
yeah.
well, once you can get people started, in other words, one of the advantages of trying to incentivize people in the beginning is that, once they've given, then they're more likely to give again.
True.
And so it's not only that you're getting the money in that particular year, but you may be now establishing a person that's going to be giving every year.
Yeah. And Rotary Direct is one of those easy ways,
Yes.
$20 a month. And there you got $120 a year.
Yeah.
You're not going to miss
Yeah.
$20 a month.
Right.
Great.
Yeah.
No.
Nice,
Anyway.
guys.
Membership, unless there are any questions for the membership chair, I rest my case.
Well, thank you, dear. Okay, so any old business? I think we've pretty much covered
I'm
everything
old
that we.
business.
Hmm?
I'm old business.
Yeah, you're the old business. All right.
All right, enough merriment.
Enough, Mary. What? New business.
Alicia, we've talked about, and I sent an email. We talked about what would be the president nominee for the club.
Mm-hmm. I'm in talks
and-
with the person.
Pardon?
I'm in talks with the person.
Okay.
Yeah.
It might be helpful for the board members to know that we're thinking about this and
Yeah.
what our thoughts are.
Yeah, and this was why, when you and I talked a couple weeks ago, I was a little hesitant, but our newest member, Andy Hammond, who has just been president, he was good at it. He just decided not to go along with this club. So just to let everybody know right now, that's who I'm looking at having a more serious conversation with.
Well, my conversations with Alicia and Will, and separate conversation that we had, was that I encouraged us to identify somebody, vote somebody as the president nominee as soon as we could. Many clubs do this in the fall,
Mhm.
And some clubs even have the president nominee be part of the PETS process even, and they end up doing that for 2 years. Just, you know, they lose a lot of it the first year, so they do it in another year, they
Mhm.
pick up more. And so, you know, the sooner we can do that, I think the better. And if somebody's on board and being able to participate with the president-elect's planning, which, you know, Alicia, this is Alicia's second year, so there's, you know, she knows a little bit more about
Yeah.
it. But to be able to participate in that planning is very helpful for someone also to be able to take over in another year.
Yeah. So it's an interesting situation, but the work is definitely in progress. So,
Great.
you know.
Thank you.
Now to go on to new business, I want to give a shout out to everyone. We have achieved the Rotary citation.
Wow,
Yay.
great job.
Yay! Whoop whoop! This will be our 3rd year in a row. They're not doing it with any distinction this year. It's just because of COVID. But I, of course, I put my goals in, you know, before this year, and we got it. So, and my goals are already in for next year.
Good
So
job.
we will,
Great.
we'll continue on. We've already talked about the budget, work in progress. And I said, my plan is to have that out to the BOD for questions, comments, criticisms, and working on by this weekend. Strategic plan. I'm gonna leave that up to Will, Brad, and Vince to talk about that. Even though I'm part of the troop, I'm going to listen.
All right, let me lead off on that.
Sure.
I have received inputs from Vince and Brad, and I'm still ruminating on those. My intent is to merge some of those things and then get the four or five of us together and talk about
Okay.
all of those issues, hopefully in the next within the next week, because I have
the papers.
I'm sorry.
You have the papers.
Yes, I have the plan. I have the plan, the 3-ring binder plan right here. So we haven't forgotten about that.
I have to admit, I had to look up ruminate. I'm sorry.
I
So,
well, it's several of those cow bovine related things. Ruminate, masticate, and I won't go further.
To go over in the mind repeatedly and often casually or slowly, Will. That's what you do. Just in case, you know.
Yes.
The internet's a great thing, right?
Yeah. Or if you're a farmer, you know.
Yeah.
And also, number 2, to chew repeatedly for an extended period.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes.
That's what we wanted.
Oh goodness.
Okay.
Okay, next thing, because I'm getting tired, I'm sure you guys are. S4TL. I was contacted, and I believe it went out to a couple other people in our club, from 2 of the board members for a seminar for tomorrow's leaders. Of course, you know, this last year we sent our money in and then it was canceled. Our money was basically held. So we had a position that was held for us for this year. And that position is in process of being filled. If you remember, our last speaker was a young junior, high school junior, Zaid Abu Rahman. And he is looking at being our S4TL student. He is, I've talked with his parents. Of course, it's really easy to go across the street and talk to him. And he is, as we speak, filling out the paperwork and will have it back to me no later than Wednesday so that I can send it in to the proper people. And we should be good to go. S4TL this year, it's usually a week-long program. It rotates from district to district in between 3 districts, 950, 960, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the third district, but this year it will be held in District 6960 in the Bradenton Convention Center. It's going to be a 4-day event. And they're going to meet in person July 7th. Then they're going to meet online, I would imagine, in breakout groups, July 8th and 9th. And then they are going to go back to the convention center, reconvene on Saturday, July 10th. So I said the monies are already in the bank, so to speak. So we should be good to go. So I'm excited. I think he's a perfect candidate for it. And anybody who listened to him 3 weeks ago, or was it March 15th? I hope you agree.
No, he was very good.
Yeah.
He was very good. Yeah.
He even impressed his own parents. So, I mean.
Yeah, I saw that. Yes. They couldn't stop commenting and liking.
I know, it was awesome. So that's that. The last thing that I have on the agenda is the CART fund, which is contribution for Alzheimer's research. I didn't think that much about it at first. I mean, I knew it's been in existence for a couple of years. Our contributing to it for this year was proposed by our member Robin Schneider, who is she's very involved in actually RYE, but she brought this up. And this, not too long ago, I found out that my mom probably has some form of dementia. So it's kind of hit home. So I would like to, I would like to see if our club could donate. Robin was thinking anywhere from $100 to $200. So I'd like to go ahead and propose that.
Yeah, could I, Alicia?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I sent you a suggestion. I would like to make the motion to donate $250. And the reason for $250 is the fact that, again, going back to our budget, we had a lot of things in our budget this past year we didn't spend because of the pandemic. One of the items was a district project. We put in $250. We're almost now at the end of the Rotary year. We have 3 months to go, and we probably will not be spending it on a district project. So I think it would, since the Alzheimer's, the CART, if I understand correctly, the CART project is actually a district project. And
Right.
I assume that everyone received an email. I know I received an email.
Yeah.
And so I think we could easily afford to spend $250 to the CART project. And I think it's important for a couple of reasons. Like Alicia, we've all I had a mother also who had dementia, Alzheimer's, very difficult time. And Robin, who proposed this, has really been a very generous supporter of the Rotary Foundation. And I know that shouldn't necessarily be a measure of our decision-making, but I think we could easily afford to give 250. So I'd like to make that motion.
I'd like to second the motion, and then I'd like to lead some discussion on it.
Sure.
Okay. What a lot of people don't, there's a National Alzheimer's Association, but what a lot of people don't understand about the difference between that and many other Alzheimer's entities and CART is that the Center for Alzheimer's Research Trust monies go directly to the researchers. They don't go through many other entities that have to take administration funds out. It is funds that go directly to the researchers at the leading edge of Alzheimer's. I too had a mother who took 7 years to die from Alzheimer's. So I would second Ray's motion. And
Thank you.
I'm
All
in
in
support
favor?
of it too. So yeah,
Yeah.
unless there's objections, let's do it.
okay, I'll call for the question.
Aye.
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 Okay.
Now, Alicia, will you be able then to direct Linda to write the check?
Yeah. Yes, I can.
Because what happened, somehow that email I deleted. So I don't have the information on how to send it.
No, I'll take care of it.
Okay.
We're
That'd be
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Write my little note there. All right, guys. Apologize for getting emotional.
All right.
I think we're set for the evening.
Good.
I have one request, one real quick one. I'm going to be helping with the summit or the institute in charge of the general sessions. One of the things that that I'll be doing is being in charge of the stage management person. I don't know a lot of people in these zones yet. That's a pretty critical job for those of you that have done these things know. If anybody has a recommendation for somebody that's either done it or would be good at stage management, if you could send me an email sometime and let me know, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. I missed the first part of what you said, Brad. You're going to be working on what again?
On the institute, what we call the summit here in these two zones.
Oh, the zone summit, 33-34 zone summit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And what do you need help with again? I didn't hear the first part either.
I need help with stage management. Someone that's done stage management, that's good at stage management.
Oh, you mean?
I'll be in charge of the general sessions, and
Oh, okay.
one of the critical things about that is stage management.
Work the
And
cameras
either
and
somebody
stuff?
that's done it or somebody that
Okay.
I think would do a good job.
You mean work the cameras and all that?
No, they wouldn't be working the cameras. They'd be coordinating everything that goes on stage. They're one of the people that wear the headsets, and they're communicating with those people that work the cameras and the people that work the boards, sound boards. They communicate with all of those people, but they're the ones that are making the things happen on stage, when they happen.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I'd be happy to help and reach out. My first phone call would be to past director John Smarge, who had his zone when he was director in Naples, and I can maybe find out if there's people who might be interested in that he had experience with and so forth.
Okay. Okay.
So.
Yeah, my problem is I don't know a lot of people here yet.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so I appreciate that, Vince. Thanks.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Is anybody else going to the district conference?
Yeah. Well,
You're going?
Are you going, Vince?
Yeah.
That's great. So we'll have two people. I unfortunately have scheduled for my second shot then, and I
Okay.
don't think I'm gonna be going. Plus,
So
we have all sorts of other expenses.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
So I'm
Yeah,
glad you
I'll
guys
look-
are going. Thank you.
I'll look for you, Vince. We'll look for you.
yeah.
Great.
That'd be good.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Evie said she was expecting, I mean, if they get 100, they're going to be ecstatic. I think they're expecting 75 people.
Oh, is
Wow.
that right? Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
still people are uneasy and all that. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, the Sunset Cruise is still iffy. They have to have so many people sign
Right.
up for it to get the boat. And so,
Yeah.
Do you
Understand.
know, Vince, you know, she was planning on having a co-event with our PDG Alan Collins. Do you know if he's gonna still be a part of it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't heard much. It was brought up before. I just hadn't heard anything recently.
No, I don't know. I'll
Interesting.
let you know.
Yeah,
if I
since
find out.
Alan
Yeah.
didn't get to have a conference at all, so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Yeah, let us know.
okay.
All
Good.
right, so just so everybody knows here, our next meeting is going to be, and I'm really excited about this next meeting. Let me, my
Is-
handy
On the
dandy.
agenda, right?
It's going to be April 19th. It's going to be our 11 o'clock meeting. The one that we have now.
Hey, what was the date again, Alicia? 19th?
The 19th, Monday, the 3rd. Yeah, so the third Monday, the 19th, it's at 11 o'clock in the morning to better accommodate. I mean, it was geared to better accommodate our international members. Our speaker is going to be Dr. Mike Laban, who practices. Thanks, Will. He
Sorry.
practices immigration law in DC, so it should be a really good talk. And I will have the information up tomorrow on the thread. So, all right, guys. I think it's my goodness, it's going on 9. I know I'm tired. I think it's drink 30 or drink o'clock.
Yeah, if any of you are interested, I don't know why I'm on the East Coast and I follow the Tampa Bay Rays, but they were losing to the Red Sox during the recess. So
Okay.
Oh dear.
Thanks, Ray.
That's right. Telling us about the Rays. All right, guys. Have a good evening.
Okay.
Okay.
And, talk
See you all
later.
later. Bye-bye now.